This is Shelley Craft coming to you live on SNNLive. We're at the Planet MicroCap Showcase 2017 at Planet Hollywood in Las Vegas. I have with me Bill Sheriff of Golden Predator Mining Corporation. It's a publicly traded company. I'm going to give you two symbols. It's GPY on the TSX-V and NTGSF in the U.S. Welcome, Bill, and welcome back to SNNLive.
Thanks, Shelley. Appreciate you having us again.
It's good to have you. So let's get an overview on Golden Predator, and then we'll go from there.
Sounds good. We're focused entirely in the Yukon. The company saw a bit of a renaissance about 15 months ago when we actually conducted a small bulk sampling in an effort to fund the company. It was quite successful. And on the heels of that, we brought in some world-class investors, highlighted by Rob McEwen and McEwen Mining, Albert Friedberg, and of course, Eric Sprott, who's our second biggest shareholder. And from there, with the idea of progressing on some very high-grade gold veins in the Yukon, based with their backing, we were able to implement the plan with the support of the First Nations, the Casca Dene. And we were able to put a bridge in record time, spanning a fairly significant river in the Yukon. That allowed us to get the big equipment in. And I think we were just embarking on that last time we talked. And well, the plan paid off. We made, at the time we started, there were 2 known quartz veins on the property, hosting very high-grade gold. Since then, we've made discoveries of well over 30 additional ones, and started drilling in late October, once the snow covered the ground, when most people go home, and continued drilling through December 14th, in spite of the rather cold temperatures, minus 37 the day we quit. And took a Christmas break, came back in and started again in early February, and have so far put about 13,000 meters in terms of drilling, and about pushing 100 holes now.
As they say, this ain't your first rodeo. You have well, let me be smart. What's your background?
Well, I'm a geologist by education and spent a bit of time in the markets as a market maker and a stock trader for a while during the bad times in the mining, or one of the bad times. And I've spent most of my career in Nevada until 2009. And then I moved to the Yukon, seeing that it was a relatively pristine area with great potential. And we've had several different projects there, including Brewery Creek, which we still own, which is close to 1 million ounce open pit heap leach oxide project, formerly in production by Viceroy. But as good as that project is, it just pales by comparison to the 3 Aces. And that's our sole focus at the moment.
When I speak to someone who's as accomplished as you are in the resource industry, I go, what makes this one the one? What about it? I think that from an investor viewpoint, what's the differentiator of your company versus many other companies that are out there? And I think, if you don't mind, I'd like you to answer that.
No, absolutely. Just to the point in one word, grade.
Yep.
Grade and vein width and near surface. And these veins literally are within a few meters of the surface. They are spread out right now over an 11 square kilometer area. We've only tested about 40% of that. That lies within a 357 square kilometer property. And we've got structural fabric that we see in the mineralized zone that continues for 40 kilometers along strike. Now, it certainly hasn't been tested, but it gives us enough confidence to say that we're working on a district scale opportunity with high-grade gold and quartz. Metallurgy is great. We've proven that through our own bulk sampling. We get 80% plus of the gold simply with a gravity circuit. It just doesn't get much better than that.
So you're kind of in elephant country too, right?
Absolutely. The Yukon's been a hotbed of activity recently. We've seen several of the majors come in. We've seen, Gold Corp started off, a couple of years ago with the purchase of Kaminak. And the coffee deposit, which is over about a 15-hour drive from where we are. So the Yukon's a very, very large area. That's over by our Brewery Creek project. And, since then we've seen Agnico Eagle come in and fund Sean Ryan's latest endeavor, White Gold, who's got a commanding position in that district. We've seen Coeur Mining come in. We've seen Newmont come in of recent. And then most recently Barrick came in to more of the north central area in the Yukon with their investment in ATAC. So it's definitely on the radar screen of the majors. They're moving quickly, and I think you're going to see that trend continue because, quite frankly, the Yukon's one of the last frontiers, if you will, in terms of mining in first world countries that has not seen an enormous amount of work.
And here we are in our own backyard. I just want to finish off by going back and discussing grade, if we could. Let's talk about that.
Sure. I mean, when I was working in Nevada, and certainly in Nevada, you have a different climate. You have a different type of mining, mostly open pit, just like Brewery Creek was again. And it typically is on a scale of a gram or less than a gram per ton oxide, and that works fine if you've got enough of it in the right configurations and stripping ratio and infrastructure and all of those things. But typically the big ones have quite a large capex. The grade is important because you aren't so sensitive to the price of gold. During times of decline, typically the last few mines that are still producing at a profit are the high-grade underground mines. And of course, high-grade open pit would work as well. And we may very well be able to develop both of those in our property package because, as I say, the veins are close to the surface. However, they do continue at depth, so a bit of the best of both worlds. But by having grade, it allows you to remove a smaller block of rock for the same amount of revenue, quite frankly. And so your costs are diminished compared to your revenue. Or you can look at the other way around, you're getting a lot more revenue per ton of rock.
For more information, let's get your website out there so our investor audience can go and take a peek on their own.
Sure, it's www.goldenpredator.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, Bill Sheriff, Golden Predator Mining Corporation. I'm going to give you two symbols, GPY on the TSX-V and NTGSF in the U.S. I'm Shelley Kraft. This is SNNLive, and we're coming to you live from the Planet MicroCap Showcase 2017 at Planet Hollywood in Las Vegas. Bill, thank you so much for coming on.
Appreciate it.